All right there, everyone. It looks like we are live for a rather solemn occasion. I wanted to chime in as all the accolades and the condolences and words of support and adulation pour out for this one and only icon of conservatism, Rush Hudson Limbaugh III, who has, of course, it's just been announced he has passed away. So come on in here, everybody, one and all. Good to see you. Trump Deku may Rush. Yeah, R.I.P. Very sad day. Absolutely. Carla, great seeing you. True Lightning Striker, Andrew. It is. And what I wanted to do, I want to offer some words here for you. I actually had the unbelievable experience of meeting Rush once years ago, which I'm going to share with you and give you, show you his autograph and everything like that. It was a very brief exchange, but it was meaningful for me, obviously. So come on in, gang. Great to see everyone. Yeah, goodbye, Rush. Heartaches. Rest in peace. Absolutely. Absolutely. He was a beautiful, beautiful man and an incredible and wonderful communicator for conservatism. We're not going to be able to say everything that needs to be said here. Of course, we can't do that, but we're not going to be able to say everything here. So we are going to move the conversation on to our other platform, our non-censorship platform. That's our exclusive live Q&A. It's tomorrow night. You're invited. It's February 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You're going to be able to have direct access to me, and you can ask me your questions. We had an amazing Q&A, live Q&A last Monday night with Andy No. You'll be able to see that we record all the Q&As. And Andy No talked about his infiltration with Antifa. It was so fascinating. It was an hour-long Q&A, and all our members got to ask him their questions. So Monday and Thursday nights, we hold these live exclusive Q&As only for our Insiders Club members. And if you're not an Insiders Club member, all you need to do is just click on the link below, sign on up. And as a special incentive, you guys, first week is absolutely free. So you get to check it out. No obligation. If you want to cancel, you cancel anytime. So we're going to give you that free week trial so you can be part of the Q&A and ask me your questions and try it out and interact with thousands of conservatives all over the world. So we like to think of our Insiders Club as sort of your backstage pass to the movers and shakers of the worldwide conservative movement. So make sure to click on the link below and become an Insiders member. Get your first week absolutely free. And I'll see you tomorrow night for our live Q&A where we can talk more about Rush. And I mean, talk about a mover and shaker of the worldwide conservative movement. He was my hero. And that's not just hyperbole. I will start here by simply saying that if it weren't for Rush, I wouldn't be here with you right now. If it weren't for Rush, I would not be a political conservative. I would not be interested in broadcasting. If it weren't for Rush, I could say I wouldn't be a conservative Christian. If it weren't for Rush, I wouldn't have become a teacher and educator in the classical school movement. If it weren't for Rush, I don't think I'd have the family that I have today. So what can I say? I mean, what words of gratitude could I even come close to uttering to thank this man and the influence he's had on my life? Let me take you back to 1993. Oh, super chats are on. Hey, Sandiford. Yeah, Sandiford, don't get upset about. I hear you. Sandiford said, I know. I thought to myself, the left is going to be celebrating today. That just tells you who they are. It tells you whose they are. So just let them do it. That's just Rush wouldn't have expected anything else, and we're just going to leave it at that. Let me take you back to 1993. All right. You guys will get a kick out of this. So here I am. I'm in Baltimore at a music conservatory. Okay. What am I, like 21, 22 years old, something like that. Bill Clinton had just been elected president of the United States the previous November, in November 92. I was so excited because I was a pathetic lefty in college at this music conservatory I attended with all the arts and croissants crowd. Huge Clinton supporter. I know. Yeah, me, right? And one of the things that I like to do is I like to stay up late at night. And my instrument was classical guitar. And I would practice the classical guitar just watching TV. The TV functioned more like just, background noise, but I was watching it, for lack of a better term. And I remember I was going through some technical sections in the piece, and it was like 1 or 2 a.m. I can't stay up that late anymore, but I just remember this show appeared on the channel I was watching. It was my little black and white TV before cable television, so I had basically 4 channels. Thank you, Valiant Life. God bless you, man. R.I.P. Rush. Amen. So it was like 1 or 2 in the morning on my 3 or 4 channels, and I'm watching this channel. I don't remember if it was an ABC, NBC, CBS affiliate. I don't remember. And I just remember this big guy comes on in my black and white TV with his blustering bravado, that amazing voice. He's thanking the audience who greets him. And then he sits down in his desk, and for the next half an hour, he absolutely ripped into Clinton. And I remember specifically, it was so interesting because he was so funny. He was so humorous and so lighthearted in the way he was doing it. And yet he was so logically precise, so ideologically keen. And I just remember I just didn't know what sense to make of it. I'd never seen anything like that before. So I became really angry. And I was like, dude, what's your problem, man? He just became president. Give the guy a chance, right? Come on. He's just trying to help us, right? I'm just trying to help you. I feel your pain. So I dismissed Limbaugh as a bit of a jerk. On the one hand, a pompous ass. And on the other hand, I saw him as, well, actually, but he's kind of funny and he's very bright. I mean, he's, thank you, Prairie Resort. Thank you so much. The guy's pretty bright. You got to give it to him. But then over the next 7 weeks, right around 1 or 2 a.m., every night, there he was popping up on my black and white TV. Now, I've always liked politics. I'm the kind of nerd that stayed up. I think it was 11 years old. I stayed up in 1980 to watch Ronald Reagan win. I loved Ronald Reagan when he beat Jimmy Carter. I thought I was going to be up really late. I remember making coffee, and I put on a white shirt and a tie. And I was so excited. And I had a map of all the states, and I was going to tick them off as who was winning what and everything. And lo and behold, the thing was over by like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh my, I'm all wired. And I was so excited. Reagan won 46 states. So I've always liked politics. So I listened to him. I listened to Rush. And I could distinctly remember, it was just a few months of this, I could distinctly remember thinking to myself, and pardon me, but I was just like, oh shit. This guy's making a lot of sense. You have to understand, I was part of the arts and croissant crowd at Peabody Conservatory of Music. I didn't know any political conservatives. But I just remember how he started defending Reagan and Reagan's record and Reagan's policies and his ideology, and he contrasted him constantly with Clinton. And I thought it was more and more the picture he was painting worked. It made so much logical sense. Reagan was like a rock. He was like standing on a rock of political and civilizational tradition made up of principles that were timeless and that defined us. We didn't define them, and that gave our lives meaning and purpose and bound us together as a civilization. And Clinton started looking more and more like a clown, like he was playing in a little box of sand. I wouldn't believe it, but over the next several months, just by sitting there at night and listening to him on TV, I hadn't even discovered his radio program at the time. It converted me. The arguments converted me. And all my friends at the Music Conservatory thought I went nuts. They thought I joined a cult or something. They couldn't believe the change in me, not just in my political persuasion, but also in my worldview. And that's what ultimately led me to reconsider Christianity, which I'm not going to get into detail here, but suffice it to say, I don't think I would have ever have reconsidered. I would never have given conservative Christianity the time of day if it weren't for Russia's emphasis on the need for religion to have a solid moral basis for civilization. As a lefty, I thought we had outgrown religion. We didn't need religion anymore. We were on this linear, progressive uptick. And religion was, an evolutionary throwback. Rush convinced me that religion, this is before Jordan Peterson and the like, right? Religion was the absolute necessary basis, moral basis for a flourishing civilization. And he showed me that this was the belief that virtually every founding father, the American Republic had, as well as every major leader of Western civilization. Fast forward to July of 1995. So the Republicans had just taken the House that past November in 94 for the first time in 40 years, right? The Gingrich Revolution, all that good stuff. And I was part of a Bible study with some guys at the Music Conservatory, as well as the college our conservatives part of, which is Johns Hopkins University. And we all decided to go and see Rush Limbaugh live at his TV show. We're all big Rush fans. Well, I was so excited about that. I think I dropped the idea. I was the one who called up, got the tickets to go check him out at his TV show in Manhattan. And here it is. That is the ticket from, what is it? July 26th, 1995. So right there, TV show. Can you see okay? That's the ticket we had. And it was absolutely wonderful. I forget where it said it. It's, yes. Jacket and tie requested. We were very well dressed audience. And I think it was down the hall was Sally Jesse Raphael show. So you had all these, crazy people beating each other up down the hall. And here we were changing the world and we didn't even know it. So we all took, the bus to New York City, to Manhattan. And that is where I got to meet Rush very, very briefly. I, was part of the line to get his autograph. And he was kind enough to give me that wonderful signature autograph there. You know what I remember most about it? I remember how he smelled. He apparently loved cologne. And man, did he smell $1 million. He smelled successful. I just remember that so distinctly in my mind. I fell in love with his radio show. Obviously, I used to listen to it every day for 3 hours because I would listen to it while I practiced my guitar. I practiced guitar, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day easily. And I have to say, listening to the radio, what I loved about Rush was two things. One, he was never afraid to argue with a liberal. And that I was very, very impressed by. You see, back in my lefty days, there was no point in arguing with a conservative. Why would you want to? They're evolutionary throwbacks. They're dumbs. They're dumb. They're repressive. They're irrational. Rush would say, "Hey, if you're a liberal, we're going to put you to the head of the line. We want to and get on the phone line. We want to engage you in conversation. I'll talk with you. Half my brain tied behind my back and all that good stuff. All those wonderful euphemisms that we have." And I was very impressed with that. He was not afraid to engage. He was not afraid to discuss, and he took all comers. I was very impressed with that, especially given what I was experiencing at the Music Conservatory. Second thing, gang, and you'll appreciate this, I loved his interminable optimism. Now, you wonder where I get my optimistic conservatism from. It's not just having discovered post-secular studies, post-globalist studies show definitively that the modern secular world, globalist world is collapsing and a new conservative age is rising. It's not just that. It was from Rush. I mean, Rush imbued, he imbibed, he embodied this conservatism conservatism, that it was a Reaganite conservatism, that he was absolutely confident, like Reagan was the wave of the future. It was unstoppable. It's at the very heart of what it means to be human. And there is nothing that leftist liberals ultimately can do to stop it. The Soviet Union at the time couldn't stop it. And Nancy Pelosi and Ocasio-Cortez are not going to stop it. And this is years before I came across post-secular scholarship that, by the way, interestingly came to the same conclusion. My optimistic conservatism came from Rush. It's the conservatism that I learned sitting at his feet, as it were, day in and day out, 3 hours a day. I was such a Rush geek. I listened to Rush on Saturday afternoons. Was it mornings or afternoons? Which would be a rerun of one of the shows from the previous week. Okay. He is also the one who taught me more than anyone else to value entrepreneurship and the creating of one's own job through serving others. I have to say that as a leftist Libby, a leftist musician in the arts and croissant crowd, we're a very privileged group. And we consider ourselves a very privileged group. And let's just say working outside of music was frowned upon by all of us. We believe in many respects the government should just take care of us so we could practice our instruments all day and make the world better with our together with our music and our left-wing politics that I didn't realize was actually undermining classical music as I was speaking. But we were a very entitled group, and Rush kicked the crap out of that out of me. He gave me a work ethic that made me excited to serve others and not feel like I was above them, not feel like they're stupid knuckle-dragging bumpkins, but these were people created in the image of God that I'm here to serve. And that if I get that, then I can achieve financial independence in doing that. So capitalism, as he would present it, was a win-win proposition. I prosper only insofar as I serve others. And that was what Rush taught me. And finally, I liken Rush really to the first, I have to say, I think, this is, for me, he's the first bona fide Republican populist, even before Pat Buchanan, who surfaced as such in 1992 when he challenged George Bush Sr. Remember, Rush was radically principled. I mean, he was a bookworm. He loved to read. He loved Bill Buckley, and he could talk right at Bill Buckley's level. But those principles, that principled conservatism, never, ever made peace with establishment Republicans. He despised the Colin Powells. He despised the Bob Dole. Well, he was critical of Dole towards the end. He tried to make peace with it, but he couldn't. He despised the John McCains. He despised the mainstream media. He did not believe what the New York Times printed. But even though the mainstream media invited him on a lot, Tim Russert, God rest his soul, NBC's Meet the Press. I mean, boy, that was a whole different, age, a different epoch in the life of NBC. But Rush, and he loved to dub Meet the Press, Meet the Depressed, right? This is why Rush was so attracted, I think, to Donald Trump, when so many of his conservative intellectual compatriots, like those over at National Review, were doing everything they can to reject him. So thank you so much, Landon. Thank you, Landon. God bless you. Right back at you. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. Thanks, Landon. Boy, that meant a lot. Thank you. What Rush was attracted to Donald Trump when so many of his conservative ilk, the intellectual ilk, like again at the National Review or the Washington Examiner or Washington Times or Heritage Foundation, they were all rejecting him. But what Rush saw in Trump was a real populist fighter who knew who the enemy was. He knew who the enemy was. He knew the enemy was the swamp. it was the establishment. That was the primary carrier of leftist liberalism, not just here, but in the world. And so he knew that Trump was going to be one who was going to lower taxes and cut regulations and stand up for family, faith, and freedom. But he also knew that Trump was going to enforce border security and bring manufacturing jobs back home, someone who's going to take on the mainstream media and the Republican establishment at the same time. So Trump, in many ways, was a manifestation, I think, of Russia's populism that was willing to fight the real enemy. Trump was willing to fight for Reaganite conservatism, even if Trump himself was not so much of an intellectual Reaganite conservatism, right? In the intellectually learned sort of way that you'll find at conservative think tanks. So needless to say, Rush stood up for Trump early on, and Trump never forgot that. And of course, one of the last things we saw in the public appearance of Rush was when he was awarded the highest honor that a president can bestow on a citizen, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We could go on and on. How Rush changed politics. He helped to engineer the GOP takeover of Congress with the Gingrich Revolution in 1994. He solidified the Ronald Reagan base of the party. Anytime establishment Republicans wanted to try to take the party back to the good old days of Gerald Ford, Rush would say, "You shall not pass." And that's just me. He single-handedly revitalized AM radio. AM radio up until that point was a desert, and Trump awakened AM radio to heights it had never seen before with his 600 radio stations blasting his amazing bravado. And he awakened talk radio as, in many respects, really the first alt tech. I mean, there is simply no one like him. He is and will always be my hero. So God bless Rush Limbaugh. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. All right, gang, we're going to take this conversation over to our Insiders Club platform. Join me tomorrow night for our exclusive live Q&A, February 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where we can talk more about Rush. You'll be invited to participate. You have direct access to me to ask your questions, as well as our special guest. We had Andy No on last Monday night. An hour. You'll get to see that interview. It was absolutely wonderful. You ask the questions. I sit back and just enjoy. So make sure you sign up for our Insiders Club. This Q&A is exclusive for our Insiders Club. All you need to do is click on the link down below, sign up, and as a special incentive, you get your first week absolutely free. My gift to you, just as a way for you to be able to try it out before you make any decision. We'd love for you to stay on, but of course, that's for you to decide. But we'd love to see you Thursday night. We could talk more about Rush. You have direct access to me, and we'll chat about anything and anything you want for an hour and a half. 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Thursday, the 18th. So make sure to click on that link below. Become an Insiders member. Get your first week absolutely free. I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. God bless, guys. Take care.